the Los Angeles Sun of 1991. This city of angels, this city of cherished dreams, was for many an arena of ceaseless struggle, a place where the thin line between lawfulness and lawlessness sometimes blurred into invisibility. In March of that year, during the darkest hours of the night, on a street in the Tahiti neighborhood, not far from the bustling San Fernando Boulevard, a scene unfolded that would forever be etched in the memory of America and the world. This is the story of Rodney King, a story that became a symbol of blatant injustice, the arbitrary actions of law enforcement, and just how fragile human life can be, crushed by the system. Rodney King was 25 years old at the time. Originally from Alta, Texas, he had come to Los Angeles in search of a better life. Like many young African Americans, King sought to find his place in this vast, churning metropolis. His life had not been easy. He had a prior conviction for robbery, but on that fateful night, the 3rd of March, 1991, he was merely a passenger in a car stopped by the police. Bobby Ray Holmes, under the influence of alcohol, was driving, but it was King, as the passenger, who found himself at the very epicenter of the tragedy. An almost palpable atmosphere of tension hung over Los Angeles that evening. The city breathed with anxiety, its streets alive with the hum of rumors, echoes of social discontent, and a tense anticipation fueled by racial friction. A palpable sense of impending trouble thickened the air, and when a patrol car from the Los Angeles Police Department, specifically officers Lawrence Powell, Timothy McCarthy, Stacy Kuhn, and probationary officer Theodore Bricker, attempted to stop the vehicle carrying Rodney King, no one yet realized this moment would become a turning point in history. The driver, a man named Holmes, ignored the officer's command to halt. A pursuit ensued, one that seemingly could have concluded with the most ordinary of traffic violation arrests. However, the car eventually slowed and stopped, and 3 men emerged, Rodney King among them. The LAPD officers, armed and on high alert, ordered everyone to lie down immediately. Holmes and another passenger complied, but Rodney King, according to eyewitness accounts, hesitated. He was intoxicated, frightened, and appeared to not fully grasp the unfolding events. At that very moment, as the tension reached its peak and fear and adrenaline surged through the officer's veins, a brutal beating commenced. It wasn't merely another protocol violation, but a demonstrative public humiliation, all captured on a handheld camcorder. George Holliday, a local resident living in a nearby house, heard the rising clamor of shouts and commotion, stepped onto his balcony, and began filming the drama unfolding in the street. His camera recorded the very footage that would soon travel around the globe. Officers mercilessly beating a man lying on the ground with batons, kicking him, and using a stun gun. On the video, Rodney King appears utterly helpless. He lies on the ground, with swirling, aggressive figures in police uniforms looming over him. Blow after blow rains down, stripping him of his strength, his composure, and it seemed, all his human dignity. It felt as though the officers, caught in a furious, almost ritualistic dance of violence, were releasing pent-up aggression, leaving no room for compassion or even the semblance of law. Officer Powell, one of the main participants in this savage assault, according to witness testimony, struck King numerous times with his baton. McCarthy also employed his weapon, using the stun gun. King cried out, begging for mercy, but his desperate pleas were lost in the deafening roar of blows and the furious shouts of officers. At one point, losing consciousness, he collapsed limply to the ground, broken and bleeding. This terrifying episode, forever captured on film, was meant to remain a secret, just another dark stain on the reputation of the Los Angeles Police Department. However, Holliday, deeply shaken by what he witnessed, passed his recording to KTLA. And so, when this recording first aired, it instantly ignited a wave of public outrage, profound shock, and bitter, painful realization. The nation watched as a black man, already downed, was mercilessly beaten by 4 white police officers. For millions of African Americans, this was not merely a monstrous beating. It was a stark reflection of their daily reality, their deeply rooted fears, their agonizing sense of powerlessness against authority. It was a shock because, for the first time, it became so vividly and irrefutably clear what lay hidden behind the impassive facade of police uniforms, behind the locked doors of interrogation rooms. The initial reaction from officials was, to say the least, mixed. Los Angeles Police Department representatives stated that the officers' actions were entirely justified, claiming King had offered active resistance. However, the video footage told a different story. It clearly showed that King, despite his attempts to get up, was completely unarmed and posed no threat to anyone. The story of Rodney King became a truly harsh test for the entire American justice system. The officers involved in the brutal beating-faced trial, accused of exceeding their authority. But in 1992, after long and intense court hearings, all 4 officers were acquitted by a jury, the overwhelming majority of whom were white. This decision became the final straw that broke the camel's back. When the news of the officers' acquittal spread across all television channels, Los Angeles erupted in flames. The inexpressible anger, which had been building for years, which was unleashed by that very video footage, which had been amplified by centuries of systemic racial discrimination, broke free. Unprecedented mass riots began. The city streets instantly transformed into veritable battlegrounds. Chaos engulfed the city. People looted stores, set cars ablaze, and attacked one another. It was a truly terrifying, desperate spectacle, revealing deep social wounds that had festered for years. The unrest spread through the southern part of Los Angeles, particularly in neighborhoods with predominantly African American populations. Violence, looting, and destruction were accompanied by screams, cries, and an all-consuming fear. Thousands were injured and dozens perished. The city, once renowned for its unique culture and distinctive way of life, transformed overnight into an arena of social collapse. As the flames of fires painted the night sky in ominous hues, and the wail of police and fire sirens tore through the silence, many wondered in horror. How did we get here? How could a society striving for justice and civilization so easily descend into such a savage level of violence? In response to these terrible events, federal authorities initiated a new investigation. This time, the charges were brought at the federal level, alleging civil rights violations against Rodney King. The second trial, held in 1993, saw 2 of the 4 accused officers, Lawrence Powell and Timothy McCarthy, convicted and sent to prison. This marked an official acknowledgement that the officers' actions had been unlawful, but for many, such a verdict could no longer erase the past wrongs. Rodney King's story is more than just an episode of brutal beating. It's a narrative about a system that failed, about the complex and still painful issue of race relations, about the potential abuse of power, and about the strength of one man whose recorded ordeal forever altered the course of events. What Rodney King endured was truly horrific. He was beaten, humiliated, his body and spirit broken. He later candidly shared his recollections of fear, unbearable pain, and the long, arduous road to recovery. Yet despite all the hardships he suffered, he chose not to remain silent, not to conceal his truth. His courage, his unwavering determination to fight for justice against all odds, inspired countless people. The public reaction to the King affair proved to be quite divided. Some saw him as a defenseless victim of mistreatment by law enforcement officers, while others viewed him as a villain who had provoked the police into such harsh actions himself. But with each new detail, with every new frame of that video that more and more people saw, the true scale of the tragedy that had unfolded began to dawn. Rodney King's story forced America to confront a bitter truth. A truth about deep-rooted racism, about merciless police brutality, about the chasm of distrust that separated ordinary people and representatives of authority. The consequences of this case were truly colossal. It spurred significant reforms within the Los Angeles Police Department, a review of existing police procedures, and a substantial increase in public awareness of pressing issues of racial discrimination. It also vividly demonstrated how fragile public peace can be, and how easily unrestrained anger and all-consuming despair can lead to devastating consequences. After the legal proceedings concluded, Rodney King continued on his life's journey, but the invisible scars left by that fateful evening remained with him forever. He received substantial compensation from the city of Los Angeles, yet no amount of money could restore his damaged health, lost self-confidence, and peace of mind. His story became a bitter but important reminder that the path to justice is always a long, winding marathon, full of trials and disappointments. Ultimately, the Rodney King case is a story about how even in the most shining city, under the brightest sun, there can always be hidden deep shadows. It is a story about the importance of remembering, the importance of fighting for truth, and how one person, caught in the very eye of an approaching storm, can change the course of history. This account serves as an eternal reminder. Justice, though it may sometimes arrive slowly, must always remain at the center of our attention, and human dignity must be unshakable. And every time we encounter something similar, we must remember that behind every dry number, behind every catchy headline, lies a real, living human life.